Shout out to Rhymed Gaming. Thank you for the support. Hey travelers, Boardman21 here, and today's build is going to be the non-werebear Druid, who will be using Entangling Roots and Avalanche for its main sources of damage, and the damage is actually really good. You can kill all of the mono bosses, it's not a problem, you're actually pretty tanky, and since you're spamming roots in these fights and using Tempest Strike to get mana back, you get a lot of healing. On top of that, you'll have Avalanche and Ice Thorns going, and you get a lot of physical leech at the same time. Now, we didn't run too much dodge, you can definitely throw some more dodge into this, but with this build you're going to be able to do great damage, and you can even speed run through monos by simply just putting Avalanche and Ice Thorns on autocast and then just continuously leaping, and you don't need Tempest Strike or Entangling Roots until you get to the end of a map and have to take on that boss. So far, I've been able to get to a streak of 54 in the 100 timeline, so it does have some survivability with it, and it's a fast killer. Now, normally, Entangling Roots would be considered a utility, but if you really do spec out full damage in it, then you can actually do really good. Now, I got the idea of this build from Hunter x Hunter, who was running the Vines with the 100% Reflect, and off of doing his build found that running without the Vines just allowed you to cast more roots and get that mana efficiency, and it ended up just doing really good damage without having to worry about killing things to get the Vines. Alright, let's go ahead and get into the skills. For skills, we're running Entangling Roots, Avalanche, Furry Leap, Ice Thorns, and Tempest Strike. For Entangling Roots, this is one of our main DPS skills other than Avalanche. We have 2 points in Reclamation, 5 points in Lasting Briar, 2 points in Grove Master, 2 points in Mystic Roots, 4 points in Nourish, 1 point in Roots of Lap, 1 point in Bountiful Harvest, 1 point in Mana Bloom, and 2 points in Fleeting Grove. For Avalanche, we have 1 point in Mountain Peak, 1 point in Precision, 1 point in Wild Path, 4 points in Naturally Occurring, 4 points in Unyielding Storm, 1 point in Hailstorm, 2 points in Harsh Winter, 1 point in Rockfall, 3 points in Intensity, and 2 points in Storm Front. This will be a cast and forget skill that we can use to cast and then just keep running through the maps or around the boss. For Furry Leap, we have 2 points in Crater, 3 points in Ambush Predator, 1 point in Gravity, 5 points in Rise, 2 points in Poisonous Thicket, and 7 points in Warrior's Entrance to give you that 105% increased global damage. Always nice to do a little leap after you've laid down some roots and watch the damage just take off. For Ice Thorns, we have this set up to cast when we get hit, and so that we can also have it on autocast for free. We have 1 point in Emblem of Might, 3 points in Dagger Thorns, 2 points in Bramble Armor, 2 points in Spell Thorns, 1 point in Anemophily, 1 point in Thorn Shield, 4 points in Bulb Shield, 1 point in Second Nature, and 5 points in Floric Tides. Now you probably are wondering why we didn't put any points into increasing the armor and cold protection, and that's because we're mostly using it for the leech of its physical damage, and for that it helps with our survivability. We don't really need the extra little bit of protection that you can get from it. And then for Tempest Strike, we're using this to one, summon Storm Totem so we get an extra totem in there, and we are also using this to get our mana back. We have 1 point in Reinforced Stone, 5 points in Unspent Power, 1 point in Thirsty Blades, 1 point in Charged Stone, 1 point in Dead Wind, 1 point in Static, 4 points in With the Wind, 4 points in Storm's Aid, 1 point in Tempestuous, and 1 point in Mute Earth. For passives, we have 20 points in the Primalist base class, with 6 points in Gift of the Wilderness, 8 points in Natural Attunement, 6 points in Wisdom of the Wild. We have 20 points in the Beastmaster, with 6 points in Feline Bond, 5 points in Savagery, 4 points in Boarheart, and 5 points in Porcine Constitution. For the Shaman, we have 20 points, with 8 points in Silent Protector, 5 points in Lagoon in Wrath, 7 points in Windbringer. And then for the Druid, our master class, we have 53 points, with 6 points in Blood Claws, 7 points in Wood Laurel, 8 points in Spirit Claws, 8 points in Blossoming Vines, 5 points in Rootborn Wrath, 6 points in Briar Skin, 8 points in Ursine Maul, 1 point in Soothing Slaughter, and 4 points in Briar Guard. For items, the idols that we're running, we have increased cast speed for totems. That one's not a big deal, but the increased spell damage while you have an active totem is nice. We also are running increased spell damage, which is shared spell damage between you and minions, but the spell damage for you just really helps. And we're not transformed, so don't get the suffixes that allow you to get more spell damage while transformed, or prefix, whichever slot that it goes in. For the weapon, we're running a two-handed sorcery staff, which does make your skills a little bit more spendy. If you really have trouble with mana, I recommend using a gate staff instead, in hopes that your mana will be slightly better. The sorcery staff has that huge increased spell mana cost, but you want spell damage, physical damage, and for us we went with elemental protections and increased mana. Having a big mana pool is really nice. For our chest and our helm, we went with shared spell damage, more protections, increased minion health. You can change out the minion health. We were running vines, but you don't need it anymore, but we weren't going to redo our chest piece for that. If you want to run something else, you could do vitality or dodge percent increase, or something that will help with your survivability. For the helm, we have set glancing blow, attunement, shared spell damage, and some dodge rating. The only unique in the build that we're running is Orion's Eye. And then for the rings, we have set elemental and set necrotic and poison. Obviously void damage we're not worried about on our rings. We did do mana regeneration and critical strike avoidance. For our belt, we have increased minion health again. You could put something else like dodge in that slot. For the gloves, we just have attunement, some more critical strike avoidance, and our set necrotic and poison. That is also on our boots. And set elemental for the third one on the relic. However, you couldn't get the fourth set elemental because obviously we're wearing a unique amulet. Alright, for our character sheet, you can see our protections are sitting pretty good. Now when we do a crit and we get ferocity, you do get some more. Also when you have a totem active, you get a little bit more as well. But you can see this isn't a super tanky build, but with the amount of healing and leech that you have, you will do alright. Now we have 448% increased spell damage, which is very nice. That goes up by a little bit when we have a totem. For our defenses, you'll see we only have 5% dodge. We did get our 100% glancing blow, and we have over 100% critical strike avoidance, so we can't be critically struck. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys some gameplay.